Hi, I'm Kelly, and you're watching That Smells Divine. Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to share today's video with you. Before we dive into it, if you haven't yet, please subscribe, like this video, and comment below. I would love to hear from you. I'm a brand spanking new channel, so any support I can receive really helps me out a ton. Thank you so much in advance. Let's get into it. Sorry for my dog sneezing in the background. Okay, so this video could have been called "If I Could Only Take 6 Perfumes to a Deserted Island, What Would I Take?" That's kind of actually more the title of this video. But basically this is like if I had to start my collection over again, like with the first 6 fragrances that I would choose, what would they be? And I don't know how to edit my videos, so you're just gonna get it exactly how it is. So these 6 fragrances that I'm gonna share, they're not necessarily, I mean, they're definitely in my top 10 list, but there's probably others that could kind of bump these out as far as like my rated like favorite fragrances. But I picked these 6 because I feel like these 6 as like a core collection would be really diverse. It would be really varied. And I would be totally happy. Like if I literally could only use 6 perfumes for the rest of my life and these were the 6, I would be 100% satisfied. So let's dive right in. I'm not gonna like go over notes. I'm not gonna review. I'm not gonna spray. I'm just gonna quickly tell you what they are. So my very first one, and these are in no particular order. The very first one that I would choose is called SANTALUM by FIELE. I spoke about this house in a recent video. It's a very under the radar house. I'm not sure if it's because they use a lot of natural, they use all natural materials. But the fragrances are so good. Like they're so refined. They're beautifully crafted. Like they're masterpieces. I first discovered this house back in 2016, maybe 2015, when I worked at Well People, which I talk about that time of my life often because it has actually a huge place in why I'm so obsessed with perfume. But yeah, I first smelled this house in the store when we started carrying it. I just smelled the testers, like I didn't spray. And then I was going out for drinks at Hotel San Jose, which is one of my favorite like under the radar spots in Austin. Going out to drinks with a coworker, and she showed up at my house so we could like walk over there. And when she showed up, I was like, "Oh my God, what are you wearing? Like that smells divine. What is that?" She's like, "Oh, it's Viola from FILLE." I'm like, I gotta check out this house. So the next day at work, I just started spraying everything, and I fell in love with like pretty much everything. There's a couple that I can appreciate their artistry, but they're just not personally for me. The 2 that I don't love are the vetiver one and the Suppressus. It's their Cypress, but all of the other ones I'm literally obsessed with. So Santalum, it's like a creamy sandalwood. It's beautiful. It has a ton of different notes in it. It's very kind of earthy, very subtle, very ethereal. It has like a certain bouginess to it while still smelling really earthy. It's like the grown-up hippie fragrance. Like, I don't know about you guys. I used to be into fish. I used to do the whole hippie thing. And I mean, I still love fish, but I don't go to fish shows anymore. And I feel like a lot of the people that I used to like hang out with and bird nog champa with and go to festivals with, like a lot of them grew up and, you know, really like came into their own and live these really cool, creative lifestyles. Some of them have made a ton of money. And they're still hippies at heart, like myself, but they're just like refined, right? So FILLE Santalum is like the perfect scent for the refined grown-up hippie. So that's number 1. Okay, number 2, I recently spoke about this. This is my all-time favorite fragrance, literally ever, of all time. I don't know if anything will ever knock it out of the number 1 spot, but this is Serge Lutens Fille Aiguille. And I have a very difficult time saying this. I say it different all the time, but I'm pretty sure it's Fille Aiguille if I like spell it out. So there's a whole story about this fragrance, and I'm actually going to share that in my next video, so stay tuned for that. But basically this fragrance is the smell of Narnia. It's the smell of like a beautiful, lush pine forest with snow everywhere, and there's like a fireplace like crackling off in the distance, and there's like, it's, oh, I don't even know how to explain it. It's sappy, it's resinous, it's piney, it's warm and cold at the same time, if that makes any sense. It's fruity, it's sweet, it's syrupy, it's absolutely stunning. And I know, like I said earlier, this fragrance is very polarizing. People either love it or they hate it. I absolutely love it. So stay tuned for that video because I'm actually going to go into like more depth about that fragrance in that video. So that would be number 2, Serge Lutens FIELE. At number 3, we have Imaginary Authors Memoirs of a Trespasser. If I had to pick a boozy vanilla scent, like just one, because I would want to pick them all, but if I had to pick just one, I would pick Memoirs of a Trespasser. It's a boozy vanillic. It's got like a little bit of maybe like rum and tobacco. I don't have the notes in front of me, but it's very fireplacey, like sugary, fireplacey, boozy vanilla. It's got that syrupy, like thick quality to it that I love so much in a fragrance. And Serge Lutens, the FIELE has that as well. I really gravitate towards that in fragrance. So yeah, Memoirs of a Trespasser. It was the very first fragrance I owned from the Imaginary Authors house, which is one of my all-time favorite houses. I love Josh Myers. I got the chance to meet him when he was first getting started in Portland. And he is just such an artist. He's a gem. He's very unique in his style and what he puts out. So that's Imaginary Authors Memoirs of a Trespasser. So that covers the vanilla. That's my dog Riker, by the way. I feel like I should talk about him. This is Riker. He's a little bit of a nut. We rescued him a couple years ago. We have no idea like how old he is, where he came from. He was hit by a car. They were gonna put him down. We fostered him, and now he's our little nugget of joy. We have another one that's downstairs too. It's a Brodie Akita mix. He'll probably make a highlight. Highlight? He'll probably make a, what's that word I'm looking for? Spotlight? Cameo? He'll make a cameo at some point. Moving on. Number 4 is Imaginary Authors Saint Julep. If you haven't smelled Saint Julep yet, like what are you waiting for? Get out there and smell this perfume. It is gorgeous. It's the smell of a Saint Julep, but it's sweeter. Saint Juleps are kind of like intense, right? Or at least the ones I've drank. This is not a boozy fragrance. It's a very like minty, sugary, it could almost be like a mojito fragrance, honestly, but minus the lime. It might have a little bit of lime in it, but it is just the perfect fragrance for like these hot summer southern days. Yeah, like I love to wear this when it's like 105 degrees out, like I'm just dripping in sweat no matter how many times I change my clothes. This is the fragrance for that. It's beautiful. It's feminine, but guys could wear it too. I mean, you can wear whatever you want. There's no rules, right? I kind of hate the whole like gender thing in fragrances because it's just like, why, you know? But anyways, I think anyone could pull it off, but it's very sweet. It's very fresh. It's very citrusy. Yeah, it's gorgeous. So that's number 4. And number 5, we have my scent of the day at the time that I'm filming this. I sprayed this at 9 o'clock. It is now, I think, 5 p.m. and it is still going strong. This is one of my top 5 favorite fragrances of all time. You've probably heard me talk about it a million times already if you've been watching from the beginning. This is Byredo Baldafrique, okay? Ooh, so good. Watch my previous video. I think it was the 15 fragrances that are blowing my mind video. If you want to hear more about like my journey with this fragrance. And it reminds me of Tulum. It's Tulum in a bottle to me, even though it doesn't have any Tulum qualities. There's nothing like Aztec about it. There's nothing Mexican about it whatsoever. If anything, it's like French and African and yeah, it's just my own personal scent memory because the first time I went to Tulum, I wore this all day, every day. And now to me, it smells like the jungle. I can almost smell copal, but there's no copal in this perfume. It's just like the association. But this perfume is just gorgeous. Marigold. I think there's some plum in there. It's sweet. It's woody. It's unique. People have tried to make inspired fragrances. Nothing I mean, this is a one-of-a-kind standalone fragrance. If you like sweet, kind of woodsy, yeah, different. If you want a signature scent that like doesn't smell like everyone else, this is a good one. I feel like it's really popular in the scent community, but I never smell it out and about in the world. I've smelled it one time on an older woman that came in to the bar that I work at, and I was like, "Are you wearing Bal de Freak?" And she was like, "Yes." I was like, "Oh my God, I finally smelled it on someone in public." But I know that like all the perfume community, you know, us frag heads, like we all have a bottle of it because it's one of the best. But yeah, Bal de Freak is definitely it, spot number 5. And for number 6, I have one that I have not actually talked about yet on this channel, I don't think. This is one of my all-time favorites. I've yet to have a full bottle. I'm like one of those people, if I like a fragrance and I don't want to splurge on the full bottle, I'll just keep ordering decant after decant after decant. Like I don't really care about the bottle presentation, or actually, let me change that. I didn't care before. The more I get into fragrance, the more I see the value in having like a full bottle and being able to see the bottle itself and yeah, just have that experience. It definitely adds to the kind of artistry of the perfume, right? So yeah, I definitely will be getting a full bottle of this. It is so good. It's such a good summer scent, and it's Tom Ford Santal Blush. I love this because I have a difficult time with sandalwood. Like, I don't know, the whole Le Labo 33 thing, the Santal 33, like, I just can't get down with it. I don't know what it is. I tried. I bought the Dossier version. I'm still trying. Actually, I bought that in the middle of winter. I think tonight, I think I'm going to test it out because it's about 85 here in Austin today. I think I'm going to test that out tonight because I haven't worn it yet in warm weather, and I'm curious to see how that changes my impression of it. But my point is, like, I have a difficult time with sandalwood, and if I find a sandalwood fragrance that I love it. But if I'm just kind of like, then yeah, I don't know. So, like Santalum, right, that I shared at number 1, like that's a great sandalwood fragrance. It has a lot of other notes in the composition, so that might be why. With Tom Ford's Santal Blush, you've got your sandalwood. I don't know the complete notes list, but I do know that there's a note of cumin in there. I never know how to say it. Cumin. And listen, some people don't like to smell like food or spices. Like I'm one of those people that if I will put raw garlic all over my pasta, like all over it. My boyfriend will tell you when we first met, he was like kind of thrown off because I would literally eat, like, I'm talking like a couple of tablespoons of raw garlic sprinkled into one pasta dish. And then I would like stay at his house and he would wake up in the morning and be like, "Why does my room smell like garlic?" Like I love it when people smell like garlic, when they're oozing it out. Like it's just, I know that sounds gross. I just love it. I had a really good friend, like, God, a million years ago. This was like in 2008 when I lived in Tennessee, so long ago. She really liked eating curry dishes, and she would like sweat out curry, and she'd be like, "Oh my God, this is so embarrassing." And I'd be like, "I just want to get closer to you. Like this smells so good." Anyway, so I'm a weirdo like that. So I love cumin in fragrance. I love it. And when I spray Tom Ford Santal Blush on myself, I get the sandalwood, but I predominantly get the cumin. And I don't think that everyone has that experience, but to me, I love it. It's fresh, it's creamy, it's spicy a little bit. Yeah, it has this really like round feel to it. And it reminds me, I don't know, it's like really sexy. It just reminds me of like hot summer nights. Yeah, I just love it. The first time I wore it, we went to Uchiko, which is a delicious sushi restaurant here in Austin. And Ian's my partner. I talk about him all the time. You'll meet him probably because he's gonna do like a little duo video with me at some point. But he's also kind of a frag head, but just sort of closeted because he's like too busy with life to even think about it. But he loves fragrance almost as much as I do. Anyways, the first time that I wore it, we went to Uchiko and we had this like delicious meal. We had such a good time. We were celebrating something. I can't remember what. And so now and it was like a really hot night. So now it just reminds me of that experience. So these are my 6 fragrances. I chose these 6 because they're very different from each other. Like we've got a sandalwood, we've got a pine, we've got a vanilla, boozy vanilla, we've got a minty sugary one. We've got the Bal de Freak, which is like plummy Mirabelle magnolia, and then the Santal Blush, which is kind of like spicy cumin. So Yeah, those are my 6 fragrances. I'd love to hear in the comments if you love any of these fragrances. If you have questions about any of them, I would love to answer them for you. This has been a really fun video to make. Stay tuned for my next video, which I'm going to be talking about like how my love for fragrances came to be. That'll be coming up soon. So thank you so much. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the bell to receive notifications of future videos. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.